All right, we are doing this. So I'm only a few interviews in, and I wanted to get some of the people that either the people that I knew a ton of, or the people that have kind of been in. Wait for this pun. I've been in their circle, and so I got Jeff Circle.
He went there, folks.
Yeah, I didn't even write that one down. That was literally off the top of my head. That's how clever I am, Jeff.
Hey, my name writes jokes itself.
So welcome aboard.
Yeah.
And so first off, I ran into you because of your online presence, because of all the things you do, and your name was bandied about a lot last year at BoucherCon.
I'm sure it was all positive. Oh my god.
John Stamp had nothing but good things to say about you.
John Stamp and I got together during that same thing at BoucherCon in Nashville last year, and we co-hosted a podcast together last season. So
yeah. I've had John on. John was one of the previous interviews as well, and I knew John from years ago doing book signings. We did a couple of book signings together.
Yeah, John's a super dude. So shout out to John Stamp, folks. John Stamp, author. I can't remember his website off the top of my head, but definitely look him up.
Yeah, look at John Stamp. So you have a lot of different things. You're not just like, okay, I'm going to bring Jeff on because he's a writer. You're also doing so many other things to help promote you, to help promote the community. So let's start there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
Oh, so I guess the dossier. Let's start with that.
Okay, so I started the dossier a little over 2 years ago. I was at Thriller Fest in New York City, and I went to the debut authors breakfast and met a bunch of people who I had a little bit of knowledge about, and then their books. And at the end of that trip, I was going home and I was reading The Instructor by T.R. Hendricks, and I'm going through this and I was crazy about it. And when I got home, I wanted someone to tell, hey, this book is great. And I didn't have really much of an online presence as a sharer of good news. And so I thought, you know what? I want to help my buddy Tim. He's a super dude. We're both in the Army together. We're both at Fort Hood, not at the same time, but just that brotherhood. And then I met Ilana Berry. I.s.berry wrote The Peacock and the Sparrow. And again, another flat out banger where I'm like, I have all this good news to share. So I started with 8 people in the dossier. And I thought, you know what? I can tell people about these great writers and these wonderful books. Maybe if I just create a website and do some fun interviews. And so I took a look at the landscape, and I saw people like you and David Temple and the bestseller books folks, and all the John Stamp, like we mentioned, all the folks out there asking questions and helping spread the word about good stories and good books and great authors. And I wanted to try to take the best elements of each one of those and do it myself. And so I thought the best way to do it would be to ask questions that were each different, customized based on that author's book or their background. And I'd write up maybe a 5 or 6 question interview, put it on the website. And I guess I asked enough silly, goofy, fun, interesting questions, started to get a following. Social media started to build, the website grew, and we're over 170, 180 dossiers right now at the writersdossier.com. Wow. So that's how the dossier started.
Which is awesome. And it's for me as a reader and as somebody who wants a network, it's a nice cheat sheet for me whenever I see your next post and I'm like, oh, I don't know this author. Let me look up this author.
Yeah.
So it's an author that I'm well aware of, and I'm like, well, now I want to read more about this person.
Yeah, and that's how it started at the debut authors breakfast. These people I hadn't heard of either, and you see recommendations through other services that are out there, or other social media people. Like I said, Bestseller Books is super about that kind of thing, and yeah, I hadn't heard of Tim Hendricks. It was his debut novel, and Ilana Berry, or her debut novel. So that was a lot of fun getting to know these people and sharing. And then I've had the pleasure and honor to do Kyle Mills and Jack Carr and those kind of big ones as well. They've stepped in and given their 2 cents to my silly questions at the dossier.
Right. Which I think is it's a nice mix, because you hope that the bigger names are going to draw their fans in, and then they're going to want to check out some of the other, some of us indie guys.
Daniel Silva doesn't need my help. Jack Carr doesn't need my help, but they're still interesting people, and they have an interesting story to tell. And if they're willing to answer a few questions, I'd be glad to share that, because I think we can all benefit from the collective knowledge from the writer community, everything they have to say, we can learn from and hopefully build our own backgrounds.
And I also find, from being in this community, from being in this for so long, that those people generally don't forget where they came from. They don't forget begging people to be interviewed and doing all the things, and now, even though they've gotten to that level, they're like, they still remember, and it's still fun. It's still fun to just sit and bullshit with another author.
And Brad Thor is wonderful about that. And I know you've seen him on panels at different conferences. He is willing to sit down and just share his story, and it's such a wonderful story. And it wasn't that long ago where Jack Carr himself was actually trying to nug it out, and then he exploded and just took off. So they've all got great stories to tell, and they're wonderful to hear.
Yeah, and that's the fun of going to so many events and different things, and getting to meet these, and getting to see, like, an S.A. Cosby, as Sean is just moving so far up that ladder, but he's still Sean. He's still nice and humble. He still takes a picture with you. He'll still hang out, and he'll have a conversation with you. And I think that's what's great, because you don't forget where you came from.
Yeah, and Sean hasn't. I met him in San Diego VoucherCon, and he sat down and did a dossier after we met, and the pictures, and he's just so passionate about his stories and other people's stories, and helping other people, doing blurbs and reviews for folks, and he's willing to put himself out there, and good for all the success that he's had. And I think if you do the right thing and send the elevator down, it's good. Karma comes back around and rewards you.
Right, exactly. So you obviously you're a big fan of going to VoucherCon. Do you go to a lot of different thriller conferences?
I'm a big believer in conferences and getting out there. I got to meet you in person, shake your hand, and I'll tell you what, that helps when we communicate. Hey, come on my show. I'm like, oh yeah, I met Armand. Absolutely, man, I remember you. That's fantastic. So I love VoucherCon because it's so fan based, it's fan centric, and you get a different type of mystery crime writer element in the writers and authors who show up, and those guys are neat to see, versus Thriller Fest, which I've been to a couple Thriller Fests recently, and different vibe, different everything, but still, the big draws, the medium, the writer starting out, you get exposure to a lot of different people with a lot of ideas who are willing to share their successes and what they've done to get to where they're going, and you build those relationships. Because again, when you DM somebody on social media, or if you have their email and you contact them, it's a whole lot easier if they've met you and they understand that, hey, you're not just someone who wants to stalk me or anything. You're a real person, not a bot who wants to talk. So Thriller Fest, VoucherCon, yes. I went to Left Coast Crime this year in Denver earlier in the year in 2025. Fantastic little conference, really growing, super writers, super panels, and it was really well organized and well done. And then my other favorite one, small, is the Mystery Writers Conference in Chicago. It used to be called Murder and Mayhem. Now I think it's just called the Midwest Mystery Conference, but in Chicago every year around November. Tracy Clark is a big organizer. That Lori Raider Day is involved, and they always have great writers. It's one day on a Saturday in Chicago.
Right.
Can't imagine a funner day than to do that. So big fan of conferences and getting together with people. Absolutely.
VoucherCon in Nashville, that was my first one, And I'm here in Jacksonville, another local, Michael Wiley, for years says, you got to go, And I was finally like, we're going to
Yeah.
go. And we went, and I was like, I'm sad I missed the last dozen of them. Like I could have gone to it.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward
exactly.
to New Orleans now.
I'm looking forward to New Orleans too. I'm really excited to moderate a panel on marketing and branding. We're going to talk to some great people, a couple who I know. I was on a panel last year about VoucherCon, the same panel with some people who are going to be there on this panel.
Oh, nice.
Author websites, how to market, things, what to do on social media, not what to do, and what to do, what not to do. And I'm going to moderate that. I'm really excited about being on that again.
Yeah, I'm doing the horror. I'm moderating the horror one.
Nice.
Which
Yeah,
will be
moderating can be so fun.
yeah.
If you do it right.
I would rather be a moderator. I would rather be up there and soak it all in and listen to 5 or 6 people give their stories than who wants to listen to what I got to say. I want to hear what they have to say. And I also just saw that one of my panelists dropped out, and then Ron Malfi was added. And I've known
Okay.
Ron for 100 years, so that should be a lot of fun.
Hopefully be some good chemistry there. That's super. And again, it goes to getting to know each other and being familiar with each other's work and how you are. The conferences are great for that.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward, and my wife is a huge Alan Eskins fan.
Okay.
So she was very excited to see that he's going to be there this year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so great. You can walk right up to these writers either at a signing or if they're just walking right, and you're like, holy cow, there's so-and-so, just name an author, CJ Box or whoever.
Yeah.
And Jack Stewart, he's right there, Top Gun instructor, author of the Battleborn series. You can go down the list. There they are. Just walk up and talk to them. It's so wonderful.
And I think that's what I didn't really, go into BoucherCon. I realized that there were so many readers there.
Yes.
My wife went with me, but she basically went to the pool. And I said, you know what? Because she reads this, she reads thrillers. I said, next year in New Orleans, Alan Eston's going to be there. I'm naming, Craig Johnson will be. I'm naming all these authors that she loves to read. And I was like, we're both going, and you're going to go panels and do the whole thing. And she was like, oh, okay. She's like, okay. She's like, hey, if Alan Eskins is opposite you in a panel, I'm going to see him, not going to see you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if that panel conflicts with yours, I'm going to his. Absolutely.
Honey, I understand.
She gets to see you every day.
Yeah, exactly. I get it. But that's the fun because, you're just walking around and here's Jess Lowry walking. Hey, and you just you just have a conversation. You know, Harlan Coben was born in Newark, New Jersey. So was I. I was like, hey, you're a few years older than me. But we were both born in the same hospital in Newark, New Jersey, and we talked about not about books. We talked about that for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, and BoucherCon, it's a really affordable for the fans to go, versus maybe some of the other ones that are angled toward different parts of the industry. Boucher was a reader and a reviewer, and we're there for the fans. So I'm really excited for NOLA. Can't wait to see you too.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. So now let's talk about your writing.
All right,
let's dive into that.
I started writing as a joke. I was a program manager for a Fortune 100 company, and we had to do these weekly reports that went to the management and then went up the chain, up to the division president. And the challenge was to get something in your weekly report to end up in your boss's weekly report that ended up on the desk of the VP or the president. And it was a big deal. Everyone's writing their weekly reports every week. All of us, little supervisors are doing what we do. And so I started a offshoot, like an underground weekly report thing where it was all satire. And it was comic relief from all the business BS that we had to put up at a big company like that. And people loved it. And they said, man, you should write some more. So after 5 years at that company, I was vested fully, and I punched out, and I moved to the Virgin Islands, and I worked on a dive boat. And I thought, you know what? I'm down here on the islands. There's no airport on this island that I live on. There are some really nice hotels. I'm going to work in a dive boat, and I'm going to write travel articles for Travel and Leisure and Condé Nast. And that just kind of started my whole travel website thing. One thing led to another. 9/11 came along, and I wrote a book about Army basic training because recruiting was at its highest after
Yeah.
9/11.
Yeah.
And I wanted to share with everybody what these brave young men and women were going through by signing up and joining the military. So again, I leaned into the satire angle and made it about my experience, but with a humorous angle. Again, taking something normal. I didn't want to just write a boring memoir about what I did on week 3 of basic training,
Right. Yeah.
but make it interesting and funny. So I did that. And then again, and then I started writing more fiction, more serious thriller type stuff. And I've written 3 novels in the Silo series. Silo stands for Special Intelligence, Logistics, and Operations. And I'm waiting to get those published. And in the meantime, I am co-writing a book with a New York Times bestselling author right now. We're about halfway done. Can't go into the details yet, but it's going to be a crime thriller with an international element. Really cool concept that I pitched at Thriller Fest, actually. And he's like, I want to write that. I'm like, let's do it. And then the last thing right now, I've edited a short story anthology. It's a crime thriller kind of genre crossover anthology of short stories with some fantastic writers. And I was approached by an audiobook company. We're going to have narrators narrate the story at a very high quality. The company is called Leonardo Audio, and Chris Shula is a great dude who I met last year in BoucherCon at Nashville. And just that relationship developed into more contact. He's in the dossier as a narrator because he narrated Scott Blackburn's "It Dies with You." Fantastic voice guy, Boston voice guy on social media. And so we've edited that anthology. It's fantastic. Eli Craner has written the foreword. We have Rob Hart, M.A. Proctor. We've got Edgar winners. We got Aaron Flanagan won an Edgar Award. Just a bunch of fantastic people. 16 stories. I'm really looking forward to having that come out soon. So, and in the meantime, I have another idea on a book I'm starting, just a standalone outside of the Silo series. If that sells, great. If it doesn't, that's fine. I'm still writing and having a ball.
And what's funny is everything you just mentioned is all the networking from actually meeting people.
It is. It's all the networking.
It's literally, we can sit here behind our screens and throw out a billion messages, but it doesn't matter. No. You know, like when I was looking for guests for this, I'm like, I've met Jeff. I'm going to send him a message. I've met John Stamp. I'm going to send him. These were the people that I know, the people that I actually met in person, and I actually liked these people. They were actually fun and positive to hang around with, and these are the people that I want to surround myself with. You know,
couldn't agree more. Yeah.
All right, so I got a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
For you as a thriller writer, what are some of the people that you read growing up that really kind of created who you are as a writer now?
My first big serious jump into books as a reader was James Michener. A lot of people are going to groan because Michener could write 10 pages on what a flower looked like.
Right, yeah.
And how the ocean moved and the palm trees swayed. But I loved his adventure storytelling of Tales of the South Pacific. That just really interested me. And he won the Pulitzer for that. I think it was his debut novel. And I loved travel at the same time. Like I said, I wrote travel. So I read the Caribbean on a trip to Antigua. I read Texas because I lived in Texas. So I love those stories. And that really got me interested in writing. And his writing was, for a period, unmatched. And I actually lived in Austin where he lived. And I know people who knew him before he died. After that, I was a young intelligence soldier in South Korea, working for the army, sitting in the barracks by myself at a bunk bed, and there I was, covered up in my bunk bed, reading Tom Clancy. The Hunt for Red October had come out, and it was literally required reading for my intelligence shop. I was an intelligence analyst. They said, you got to read this book because you'll learn how the intelligence goes. And it's just a really good fictionalized example of putting the pieces together. And so one year after another, Clancy kept knocking them out. And then after Clancy, Vince Flynn, as we're talking thrillers, the master, gone way too soon. Absolutely loved his stuff. My favorite Vince Flynn book is Term Limits. I think a lot of people gravitate toward Term Limits. Read that and had to go through the entire catalog. So Vince Flynn, yeah, those are the top three. That's how I got started.
Right. Now, obviously, what you do in the dossier, this might be an easy question or a hard question, but name some thriller authors out there now that are coming up that maybe not enough people know about them yet, and they need to know those names.
Yeah, absolutely. I brought a few books. I keep a small stack here in the Dossier podcast studio / writer's room / speakeasy, and so I have some that I'll show and talk about. But then I also mean some others. Right now, Bruce Borges.
Mm-hmm.
He has The Blue Horse out. Just came out. Fantastic novelist. Super guy. Shades of Mercy was right before that. Bruce Borges, you can't beat his Porter Beck series. Just bangers, and he's a super dude. I.S.Berry, I mentioned earlier. Alana Berry, Peacock and the Sparrow. Wow. Could not believe this.
A lot of hype for that book last year at BoucherCon. Lot of
well, it won a lot of awards going into BoucherCon beforehand. I mean, I think it's won just about everything. Edgar, Anthony, all of those, NPR and New Yorker's book. It was in one of their books of the year. Just that snowballed. That award season for that debut year that came out snowballed, and I can't say enough good things about I.S.Berry. Something someone might not know about as Claire Eisenthal, an Indianapolis, Indiana author. You worked for Google for about a decade, wrote The Rising Order. She's out recently with The New Order. Not a lot of people might not know her. And my co-host on the Writer's Dossier podcast, Mindy Carlson, Her Dying Day. Another one a lot of people might not know about. Some good blurbs on the back of that. And I want to throw out a couple others. I mentioned T.R. Hendricks. A big one that really moved me last year was California Bear by Dwayne Swierczynski. He's a fairly well-established writer, and he's a full-time, paid writer. But California Bear is incredibly moving, and it's a thriller, and it's the crime elements in there. Can't beat that. And then another well-established author that people might not be as aware of is Rob Hart. Rob is knocking it out. I don't care what people said about The Warehouse. Fantastic novel. A lot of people loved it, and a lot of people really had high expectations for it. Didn't meet those expectations. Don't know why. Don't care, because I read the book and I loved it, and everyone who did read it loved it too. And now he's out with a whole new series called Assassins Anonymous. So,
nice.
I mean, I have 180 people in the dossier, and I love them all, and I can't list them all here, but there's a handful for you.
I will definitely put a link to the dossier in the notes for the interview as well, so people can check out those 180 people.
180 people. J.M. Adams wrote Second Term, and he and I talk together quite a bit. He's on submission right now with another book that sounds really amazing. And Scott Blackburn, I mentioned earlier, wrote It Dies With You. He has another book out on submission. Scott Blackburn, really excited about. There's so many good books out there.
Yeah.
Just anything that you're interested in, you can find it, and you can really find it at a high level.
Yeah. That's the
Oh,
again, I do this selfishly because now there's a whole list of some of those authors I've never heard of. So now it's like, okay, let me go out there and buy some books and check out some
Kate,
of these people.
yeah, KT Gwynn, her book, you know what you did, or I know what you did, winning awards, getting recent, big press. I saw her book in People magazine. So
Yeah.
KT Gwynn, Casey Osborne, so many great writers out there.
Yeah.
There's so many. I can't. Yeah, I know I'm leaving
We,
some
we,
friends out. I apologize. This is all
so
spur of the moment. This is non-scripted.
you try to read all of them.
Try.
You're never gonna
Yeah.
write every book in your head, and you're never gonna read every book on your TBR pile. It's
Yeah.
not gonna happen. We give it a shot.
Oh, Ryan Pope too, man. That
Okay,
Blood
yeah.
and Treasure is crushing it right now.
Well, man, we
Shout
could
out
do
to
this
Ryan.
for the next 2-3 hours, I think.
We
But
could. I could tell you so much about these people. And here's the thing: back to your networking piece, Armand, is you get to network with some of these folks, and almost not all the people that I mentioned, but a good handful of them, I've asked for help. Because once you get to know and you do what I've done and you do what you've done, you can reach out and say, "Hey, will you do me a favor?" And maybe it's like, read a couple pages for me, give me your impression.
yeah,
And
yeah.
seriously, Jack Stewart sent me back feedback within a day
Well,
on I think at 10 pages I sent him, and I didn't expect it that quickly. Couldn't have been more appreciative. And now he's skyrocketed, and he doesn't have that kind of time to give to people.
wow, that's
uh,
yeah,
but he was super, as was a lot of the people I mentioned. So I'm
yeah.
so grateful for all of
Well,
them.
we're gonna have to get together in New Orleans and have a drink or a coffee or something.
Hey, there's an event we can go to on Thursday night at BoucherCon. It's a Noir at the Bar. Cosby's going to
Yep.
be there. I think Tony Wirt's going to be there, and my friend Alex Kenna has been putting it together. So that one's going to be a lot of fun. I'll
Yeah,
be
I'm
hosting there
definitely. I already said to my wife, "Hey, we're going to this," and she's like, "Yeah, that's fine,
Thursday
whatever." So,
night. Yeah, it's going to be
yeah,
a blast.
so very cool. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Good luck with adding more and more to the dossier.
Well, we got to add you up, man. We got to get you on the bestseller list, Armin. I
Yeah,
know you're banging it out too. You're doing good
yeah,
work,
yeah.
and
I would be honored to be a part of that.
well, we can get you in there.
All right,
Absolutely.
man. I will talk to you later.
Thanks, man. Great to be on.